A Dauphin County judge sent many defendants to jail, and this week, she was just hauled off the jail herself, where she's going to be for a very long time, possibly forever. Finally, the 58-year-old City Girl judge of PA, Sonia Mcnite, was held accountable after years of reckless and dangerous behavior. I first brought this story to you over a year ago when the sitting judge was arrested after a night at her boyfriend's house left him shot in the temple and blind. Back then, it was super shocking to see a sitting judge being hauled off to jail, but she took her mug shot and was released. Later, we found her in the club, bragging about having bail money. For the second time, Sonya had put a bullet in a man that she was in a relationship with, and the dishonorable judge thought she could somehow get away with it just as she did before. But no, this time it was different. The judge with a bad sense of judgment wasn't so lucky.
News 8 has learned suspended Dauphin County Judge Sonia Mcnite, who was found guilty of attempted murder yesterday, is in the Cumberland County Prison. Dauphin County Prison tells us McKnight was taken from the courthouse to Cumberland County Prison, saying it's part of a warrants agreement because she was a judge in Dauphin County. She was convicted of shooting her ex-boyfriend while he was sleeping last year. McKnight is scheduled to be sentenced May 28th.
Sonya Baltimore McKnight was first elected as judge on November 3, 2015. 6 years later, she won her re-election bid in 2021 after several criminal violations, including the most serious offense against her ex-husband. In 2014, Sonya got married and was so combative it barely survived 2 years before the divorce was filed. They lived apart for a year or so. He was moving down to North Carolina to get away and start over completely with the help of his sister. Sonya, who was separated from him and still going through a divorce, tried to stop him from leaving. In October 2018, he was finally set to leave PA to head down to North Carolina with his sister, but Sonya did not want him to leave. So she stole his keys, jumped in his car, and tried to drive off and steal it. He ran to her and tried to pull her out his car, but she wouldn't stop the car and ended up rolling into a fire hydrant. And of course, when the police got there, she started telling a bunch of lies and playing innocent. She told officers she was going to the grocery store in his car, and he was violently trying to get her out of the car, attempting to remove her hands from his wheel. Now, according to his sister, who heard the whole dispute, Sonya got mad at him because she didn't want him to leave and go to her house in North Carolina. So, in the testimony provided by the sister, she accused Sonya of preventing him from leaving, and that's the real reason why she stole his car. Prosecutors ignored his sister's testimony and sided with their sister in law enforcement, Judge Sonia Mcnite. She flipped the whole situation and even tried to weaponize her authority in relationships to get him locked up when she was indeed the combative one. Sonya pressed charges against him and got a restraining order. He was jailed for 15 days and was later placed on parole for 23 months. Now, she was the one who violated the law but was successfully able to put it all on him, and that wasn't enough for Sonya. She kept harassing her husband and continued to destroy his life. She made false claims saying he violated the order 23 times, but according to the husband, she was the one showing up to his apartment. This is after he told her to stop popping up at his house. And get this, his co-workers even provided testimony that she was popping up to their job, talking about reconciling with him. And once again, her crooked law enforcement friends believed her and violated him instead. Yeah, they arrested him. Meanwhile, she was going to the judge asking for economic relief during the pending divorce. She wanted her husband of only 2 years before the divorce filing to pay money to her every month. He worked as an HVAC tech, and she wanted a percentage of that check. That restraining order was downgraded to allow peaceful contact. Then she lured her estranged husband to her house to move furniture. One chair was moved successfully, but while he was moving the other, Sonya ambushed him, shot him in the groin and hand.
Police in Harrisburg are investigating a shooting at a home that, according to property tax records, is owned by a Dauphin County Magisterial District Judge. A lot of the details have unfolded about this case throughout the day. Fox 43's Samantha Galvez joins us now in Harrisburg with what we know right now.
Jackie, we know that a woman that lives at this home fired a shot against a man she had an active protection from abuse order against. Now, that's according to the Dauphin County District Attorney. All day long, we've told you that the home is owned by the Magisterial District Judge, Sonia Mcnite, but it is unconfirmed if she currently lives here. The shooting happened just after 8:30 this morning on the 2700 block of Lexington Street. This afternoon, many people surrounding the home sharing hugs, as well as police and canines investigating the area. While the people involved have not been identified, property tax records show it is owned by Magisterial District Judge Sonia Mcnite. We did some digging and found that a PFA was filed against McKnight's husband, Enoch, back in October. In it, he is barred from McKnight's address. Additional court documents show just 1 day before the PFA was granted, Enoch was charged with simple assault, reckless endangerment, and criminal mischief. The documents go on to explain he assaulted Sonya. We spoke with a neighbor who has lived down the street for 13 years. She also knows Judge McKnight. She says she was asleep when it happened, but heard about it after being woken up by numerous phone calls.
Too close to home. It's right down the street from me. And it's just like, it needs to stop.
Now, the man that was shot is in stable condition. As for the woman that fired that shot, she is cooperating with police.
Somehow, this possessive woman thought she could control him. That was one of the main issues in the relationship, then using her position as a judge to get him in trouble. We're talking about popping up to his job in his apartment, violating the restraining order, then reporting him for doing it. Getting him locked up twice after she stole his car, preventing him from going down to North Carolina with his sister. And now she had lured him over to her house to get furniture with a premeditated plan to do exactly what she did. But once again, he was the one treated like the suspect. Paramedics rushed him to the hospital where they had him stuck to the bed with an ankle monitor. Now, anybody with common sense could tell the judge was being conniving and manipulative. She twisted the whole story around as if there was a mutual dispute and somehow she had no other choice. But I guess common sense isn't so common in the Commonwealth. You have a man shot while moving a chair, mid-move, chair in hand, boom. And for the umpteenth time, all of her law enforcement partners protected her. They went on to justify the shooting and cleared her after being on paid administrative leave. In 2020, her then 33-year-old son was pulled over by police. He called his mama to his rescue. That's when Sonya pulled up, removed a pill bottle from her son's car, and started snapping on police, asking for the police chief to get down there. It was that incident that got her caught up and charged with official oppression and tampering with evidence after police accused her of interfering with the arrest of her grown-behind 33-year-old son. The following year, she got off again. Sonya was acquitted of all charges and praised God on the steps of the courthouse.
I feel great. God is good. Yes, he's good. So I'm thankful and I'm grateful. Yes, God will intervene. Yeah, he will intervene, but he will also vindicate you of all righteousness when you keep the faith and trust him. He said, no good thing will I withhold from you. So I'm grateful to God on this day for believing in me and knowing that I did nothing wrong.
And a magisterial district judge in Dauphin County will be suspended one more time after a run-in with Harrisburg police 3 years ago. Sonia Mcnite was acquitted of criminal charges after being accused of interfering with the arrest of her son in 2020. She spent more than 6 months suspended without pay in 2021 while that criminal case played out, then returned to the bench after her acquittal. But last year, the PA Court of Judicial Discipline ruled that McKnight had misused her power as a judge. And today it outlined McKnight's punishment, a 200-day unpaid suspension of which she's already served 190 days. McKnight will begin serving the remaining 10 days of the suspension on February 9th, then spend 1 year on probation and must not commit any further ethical violations.
The board would finally step in where they investigated her for ethics violations, from stealing time to forcing her employees to violate rules and laws, and even being accused of owing another woman nearly $2,100. But when that woman went to the court to file the complaint and submit her filing fees, to appear in small claims court, the city girl judge instructed her clerk to act like she never received it so the case would move forward. She had a slew of ethics violations and was eventually suspended. But while the investigation into those last set of accusations was going on, Sonya was arrested once again, this time for attempted homicide after getting dumped by her new boyfriend.
Suspended Harrisburg District Judge Sonia Mcnite arrested today and is facing some serious charges.
She is accused of shooting a man in the head last Saturday morning inside a home in Dauphin County. Fox 43's Robert Stover joins us now to break down the charges Mcknight is facing and the timeline of events. Robert.
Well, suspended Harrisburg District Judge Sonia Mcnite was arrested this afternoon and charged with attempted murder. Mcnite was also charged with aggravated assault. Tonight, Cumberland County District Attorney Sean McCormick says it's connected to a shooting last Saturday in Susquehanna Township. Sonia Mcnite was seen leaving the Susquehanna Township Police Department in handcuffs and leg shackles Thursday afternoon before being transported to Dauphin County Prison. Authorities confirmed the shooting happened early Saturday morning on the 200 block of Saddle Ridge Drive in Susquehanna Township. While the victim was shot in the head, he is expected to be okay, though he is now blind in one eye. Mcnite and the victim were confirmed to be the only people in the home at the time of the shooting. The Cumberland County District Attorney's Office confirmed they are leading the investigation after the Dauphin County District Attorney and the State Attorney General's office both recused themselves due to a conflict of interest. Mcknight's bail is currently set at $300,000.
Her ex-husband was able to get some relief when Sonya found a new man to destroy. That's her new boyfriend, Michael McCoy. In early 2024, she had been seeing Michael for about a year, and on the evening of the incident, Michael told her for the final time that he was done with her for real. He was fed up with their short, tumultuous relationship. He instructed her to move out of his house. Sonya agreed she would. Michael fell asleep and later woke up to the worst headache he ever felt. He opened his eyes but couldn't see anything, and the pain was so intense, he thought he was having a brain aneurysm. He yelled for Sonya to call the ambulance, and when responders got on scene, they clearly saw he had been shot. When questioned, Sonya did what she normally did. She lied and started making up stories. In this situation, she said the victim did it to himself. She ran to tamper with evidence just like she did in every other case, rushed to wash her hands to try to hide gun residue, and then tried to convince everybody that she was innocent and it was all his fault. You know, just like she did with her ex-husband.
Yeah, so today kicked off with the judge explaining to the jury how they would be kind of handling these jury deliberations, what they should know, the rules about it, if you would. But one thing that I found very, very interesting in the explanation of how the jury should head into the deliberation room is he talked about how Sonia Mcnite did not get on the stand. So, you know, Michael McCoy, the man that, you know, Sonia is now accused of shooting the head, he took the stand yesterday, but McKnight never did, and the judge told the jury that is not evidence against McKnight. This is not something that you can hold against her.
Closing arguments, can you talk about what the DA said?
Yeah, so the DA, I mean, he started his closing arguments sitting down, and he says, looks at the jury, says, typically you go to sleep and you'll have a nightmare. You wake up from it and it's over. He said Michael McCoy on February 10th, 2024, he woke up to the nightmare. He detailed how, you know, this was a heinous crime committed by Sonia Mcnite. He asked the jury to put one and one together to come to the conclusion who shot him, and take a listen to him explaining what that sounded like.
Using your common sense, that's what I urge the jurors to do. There were two people in that house, and only two people in that house, and one of them, the one who was shot, said he did not shoot himself. The logical conclusion is the other person did it, and I'm glad the jury ultimately saw the truth in that statement, and they found her guilty on all charges here today.
Elise, you spent hours inside the courtroom over the past 3 days, so a lot to get to and unpack.
Yeah, so I mean, this, you know, trial was jam-packed. The jury came from Delaware County, so really it seemed like they were trying to get as much into the day as possible. The trial kicked off Monday. We were in the courtroom from 9 a.m. until 9:15 p.m., just taking one lunch break, one morning break, one afternoon break. And then yesterday, Tuesday, was day two of the trial, kicked off at 9 a.m., and we got out around 4:45 after those closing arguments. So it was a jam-packed couple of days. Take a listen to the recap. After 3 days, 24 witnesses, and 50 pieces of evidence, suspended Dauphin County Judge Sonia Mcnite has been found guilty of first-degree attempted murder and aggravated assault for shooting her ex-boyfriend Michael McCoy in the head while he was sleeping in the early morning hours of February 10th, 2024. The jury reached their verdict in less than 2 hours. McKnight's bail was set at $3 million, and she was taken immediately to the Dauphin County Prison. It was a jam-packed trial beginning Monday morning at 9 a.m. The jury heard from 17 witnesses throughout the day on Monday, including Susquehanna Police Department patrol officers and detectives, the EMS crews that treated McCoy, and forensic experts. Throughout the trial, body cam footage was showed recapping the minutes after police arrived at McCoy's home and up to police interviews with McCoy the day after the shooting. Gunshot residue was brought up frequently throughout the trial. A forensic scientist took the stand to break down her analysis of the gunshot residue tested in this case. She found McCoy's clothing and hands tested positive for having the maximum amount of gunshot residue present, whereas McKnight's pajama shorts, a singular sock, her robe, and one part of her hand tested positive for gunshot residue. Officers testified Monday morning McKnight washed her hands and dropped her shirt in the toilet before being tested for gunshot residue. Day 2 of the trial kicked off with McCoy's doctors at Hershey Medical Center testifying about the severity of his injuries. His trauma surgeon the night of the shooting said if the bullet went in a different trajectory by just a matter of centimeters, this would have been a very different outcome. On Tuesday, McCoy took the stand for the first time, and he touched on the year-long relationship with McKnight, saying, quote, "There were always problems." He says he made it clear to McKnight on Friday, February 9th, 2024, he was serious. The relationship was over. He then went to sleep. He says he woke up with excruciating pain. On the stand, he said, quote, "I thought I was having a brain aneurysm. I thought my brain was trying to get out of my head." He testified he was the one who asked McKnight to call 911 in the early hours of Saturday morning and was shocked to later learn he had been shot in the head. When asked if he shot himself, McCoy answered no. He says, "I don't know who shot me, but I didn't shoot myself." Tuesday afternoon, McKnight told the judge she would not be taking the witness stand. Her defense lawyer called for the case to be thrown out. That request was denied. In closing arguments, McKnight's lawyer told the jury the Commonwealth did not provide enough evidence to meet the burden of proof and to find McKnight not guilty. Whereas the Commonwealth asked the jury to piece all the evidence together and come to the conclusion McKnight was the one who pulled the trigger. He said to the jury, quote, "When you apply your common sense to this case, the only person who could have committed this crime is right here," McCormick said, pointing at McKnight. And in under 2 hours Wednesday morning, the jury came to that decision, finding Sonia Mcnite guilty on 2 felony charges.
Also a new mugshot that we got within the last 2 hours.
Yeah, so that is newly released, and it's an interesting, picture that is accompanied on her crime watch announcing the charges. It's one of her smiling quite big. Definitely something that was surprising to see, if you would. Something that will, as you mentioned earlier, live on forever as of right now on that crime watch with the, pinned note, Sonia Mcnite charged with, attempted murder.
Now, she was out of prison up until now. What did the judge do when it comes to her bail to get her in prison now?
So her initial bail was set at $300,000, which she originally posted,
Right.
allowing her out until,
Yes.
today. But the judge increased her bail to $3 million. And when he made, that announcement, if you would, you could hear an audible gasp in the courtroom.
Wow.
So over a year later, Sonya is locked up for the first time after a long time of getting away with a lot. They decided to protect her by sending her to another jail. Instead of the jail she sent thousands of defendants to, the dishonorable former honorable judge is facing a maximum 60 years in prison. She'll find out how much mercy one of her former colleagues will have on her in May when the disgraced judge is back in court for sentencing. I think the second most annoying thing in this case is how these people in this county kept supporting this obvious lying narcissist.
Now tell me what happened.
I got tickets.
I started out dancing, I still dance. Never stop dancing. Never stop dancing. That's what's up. Your queen killed it.
And she helped me out.
Killed it. First of all, I want to say shout out to Harrisburg.
Back in 2021, while she had pending criminal charges from the case involving her son, and 2 years after she intentionally shot her ex-husband premeditated, she ran for office again to maintain her seat. And guess what? She was reelected. That Democratic primary included 7 candidates. Sonya was one of them. She won that primary with 24% of the vote, beating her closest competitor, who had 23% of the vote, by only 13 votes. But in the general election, she had a big victory. No one from a major party ran against her, so she basically got all the votes, 98%. That was the second most annoying thing in this case. The citizens allowing her to win after she had already shot somebody and got away with it. And that's the number one most annoying part. her getting away with that first premeditated situation. If she had been held accountable then for what she did to her husband, she wouldn't have been out of jail to tamper with her son's case or commit any more ethics violations and break laws. And she definitely wouldn't be able to attempt to eliminate her boyfriend when he no longer wanted to put up with her. She was allowed to manipulate and con the system with her ex because of her position as a judge, and after she was allowed to get away with it the first time, she was more emboldened to the point she would aim at a man's head to wipe him out and then try to blame it all on him. But unfortunately for her, he survived to tell his story. We're talking about years of horrible, unchecked bad behavior. If you're a corrupt politician, you don't want to end up over here, because if you end up on my docket, you're definitely going down.
You're going to jail. You're going to jail.
Over a year after my first report on Sonia Mcnite, the woman I named the City Girl Judge of PA is behind bars, hopefully for life, at 58 years old. Let's go ahead and get the conversation started. Tell me what you think about this below. Special thank you to Alex. I appreciate you, Alex, for all of your support for the channel, as well as Dark Power and Edmund. You can show your support as well. The link to PayPal is below. Ladies, fellas, want a balanced analysis, want the truth from a woman's perspective? Then you're going to want to subscribe to this channel, and don't forget to like and share.